Fellas, big things are happening. Big things are happening right now. And we have to talk about this. The Senegalese government is not playing with nobody. Okay, you see those things that your country does with the Europeans and Americans when they're very scared to express themselves? Not in Senegal. Senegalese hit everybody with major visas. Visa required for everybody except Africans. Congratulations. You gotta pick up coffee in this one. Yes. Senegal at 8 again. Here's Senegal on the map. Beautiful place, lovely people. I always talk very positively about Senegal. One of the most stable countries in Africa in terms of democracy. Yeah, you're going to be safe in that country. Great culture, lots of food, good food, lots of wrestling and championships and all that stuff. And beautiful women, look at them. Dark-skinned women, natural hair, natural skin. Absolutely amazing. Let's get back on track. I can see you staying away with the ladies. Anyway, what's happening in Senegal? Well, as early as August 2025, the Senegalese government under the Prime Minister, this man right here, Ousmane Sonko, has now unveiled a mandatory e-visa system to nationals of non-African countries. I feel like clapping hand again. So non-African countries will have mandatory screening and visa requirements before they enter Senegal. And this is great. This is amazing. I mean, this is amazing for the very first time. At least for the few times you find an African nation with leaders that actually stand for Africans in terms of immigration. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why this policy? Why cut everybody else off? I mean, isn't this reverse racism? Or at least racism? Isn't this, discriminatory? Well, the Senegalese government said the policy is based on reciprocity. Okay, reciprocity. Respect goes both ways. So if a country requires visas for Senegalese citizens, you will have to apply for a visa before you come to Canada. That is what you want to see. So if you want a Senegalese person, to apply for a visa before they come to your country because your country is special, then you're gonna have to apply for a visa to come to Senegal. Well, you see, Senegal is one of those countries that's opened its doors. You're trying to be nice to people. Sometimes you just want to be a nice person and you expect other people to be nice too. But unfortunately, people don't necessarily reciprocate niceness. That's a sad reality, Sometimes you're just trying to be nice and people think you're stupid. He's so stupid. Why is he letting everybody in his house? Why is he giving to everybody? But they don't understand you're trying to sow positivity. But by sowing positivity, some people perceive it as you being weak, Unfortunately, sometimes in life, you gotta be strong. And Ousmane Sonko, this man right here, is a Prime Minister of Senegal, has changed things. Now, if you want Senegalese people to go to your country with a visa, being screened and stuff, we're going to screen you. Well, why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because a lot of African nations have shown a lot of weakness. Can you imagine there are plenty of African countries today where Europeans and Americans can come for free, like no visa. They can come for 90 days, have fun, have kloof with your ladies. Anyway, forget about that. Just kidding. Do all the kind of things that you can never think about and go back to America with no problem. But in the meantime, for you to go to America, you need to go through 50 pages online of explaining whether you're not a terrorist, you've never been to Afghanistan, you don't know how to use a weapon, you've never put your finger, forget about the finger. You know what I mean? Why does that make sense? It makes no sense, right? It's stupid. It comes a time where you have to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to treat you exactly the same way you treat me. So who is affected? Well, for now, travelers from countries like the United States of America, Canada, the UK, France, China, and others will now need to pay for e-visa before they go to Senegal. Congratulations! Make Senegal great again. That is what we want to talk about, right? That's what we want to. Senegal has got so much things to offer. It's a beautiful place. Look at this place. This is where the slaves were in Senegal before they were sent to America. They actually have a lake that's pink. A pink lake. Have you ever seen a pink lake? This is Senegal. There's so many things to see in Senegal. It's beautiful. It's actually a place you want to go do tourism. Now, before you come, you have to apply for a visa. Just the same way they ask Africans to apply for a visa. What are the goals here, fellas? Okay, there are certainly some benefits financially. Ousmane Sonko says that this is going to make 60 billion CFA franc for the country. That's approximately $100 million in screening Europeans and non-Africans and making visa benefit from it. This is great. This is ecstatic because guess what? European nations make billions of dollars from getting visas rejected. on Africans. Did you know that? A lot of Africans apply for visas going to France, Belgium, Germany, you name it. They pay. You have to pay before your visa is processed. And whether your visa is accepted or refused, they don't reimburse you the money. So they reject the majority of applications, but they make the money. So they discover they can make a lot of money through Africans that are trying everything they can to go to Europe. So it's a business, you know. Get these little Africans coming here, apply for visas, which we're going to reject anyway, but they're going to pay each like maybe $200 or something, and maybe $50 on top to accelerate the process. But we're going to say no. So how about Senegal does the same? They're going to generate $100 million for the country. Congratulations. We get my coffee on that again. Yes, we want that. Now, he says they aim to modernize immigration administration, secure migration procedures, reduce congestion at border posts, and ensure payments transparency. So Africans also are, pushing with technology. It's not just Americans, eh? Yeah, the screening is also African now. In Senegal, they're going to screen you, make sure everything is transparent. Don't lie on your application, my white friends. Make sure you don't lie, okay? Tell the truth. Send your real bank account and bank report. Don't bring the fake ones before you go to Senegal. Now, let's talk about this. Now, did you know that some African countries allow Europeans to come with no visas, whilst these very African nations need to apply for visa before they go to those European countries? Did you know that? Or let me break it down for you. You know, a country like South Africa allows Germans to come with no visa for 90 days. French people can go to South Africa with no visas for 90 days. British people, all these European people can go to South Africa with no visa for 90 days. But a South African cannot do the same when it comes to Europe. Did you know that? South African man has to apply for a visa and wait. And some get rejection in most cases, actually. Right now, they get much more rejection than they got in the past. And the black South African will tell you the reason why we're being rejected is because of the Nigerians. You know, the Nigerians are using our passport to do crime. Well, yeah, maybe are Nigerians using passports from South Africa to do? Yes, there are cases of Nigerians going to Southern African nations, not just South Africa, but also Namibia, where they will marry a local girl, okay, promise her the future and the paradise and all that stuff. Nigerians are beautiful when it comes to lying to women. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what will happen later on is once they get a passport from South Africa or Namibia, they'll go to either Ireland or Britain or Canada, where they usually used to go with no visa requirement. And then they will do whatever they want to do. And then when the crime, if they are involved in crime, is found, then they will say we are South Africans, and then they will investigate. This is a South African with the name Ekechugu or Echinege or anyway. You know what I mean? Now, the truth is this. It's not because of the Nigerians. You must remember one. Let me put it this way for you, my brother. Okay? South Africa was run by white people for a long time. White people of South Africa are the cousins of white people in Europe, whether you like it or not. Now, at a time where South Africans could go to Europe with no visa was the time where white people ran the country. Now, they couldn't stop it immediately because it would have looked weird when Nelson Mandela came into power. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we had white people running the country, we got free visa, and now you have a black person, you cut the visa. It would have looked weird. So they needed some years, for things to simmer down before they remind you that South Africa is not run by white people like us anymore. Therefore, you need a visa. You need to be scrutinized before you come here. So it has nothing to do with the Nigerian. It's just an excuse. Of course, they want you to hate on each other. Well, you may have genuine reason why you don't like the Nigerians, but that is not one of them that justify the fact that you need visas. But what I'm talking about here is what? South Africa is among the countries in Africa. There are a few other countries that allow white people to come to Africa with no visa. And the black people in South Africa will tell you about these white people don't do crime. Well, my brother, you can't go to Europe with no visa requirement. If you're happy with that, then I think you have a problem. Okay? And Namibia, very recently with this lady here, this very strong Mama Nandi. Okay, in Africa, yeah, the respect is like that. Even if she's not your mother, you're going to call her mama because of, that's the way it is. A child in Africa is never a child of one person or one family. A child is everybody's child. So everybody looks after the child. They take care of the education. So if a child, for instance, let me give you an example. If your neighbor or somebody that knows you sees your child in the street at a time they are supposed to be at school, they literally have the right to scream at, "Hey you, what are you doing?" Like back in time, they will slap them, but that's not authorized anymore because things have changed. But now they can tell her, "I will tell your mother, go back home." And even if they see a little girl that's 14 years old with a boy talking in the street, they will scream it. So we have that sense of respect. Let's get back on track. This lady here, who's the president of Namibia, on Reciprocity said from now on, since you have not reciprocated, we've allowed you to come to our country visa-free, and you are not doing the same. She literally said, from now on, if my country need a visa to your country should need a visa to my country. I'm saying congratulations. And there are plenty of African countries that allow Europeans to come with no visa while they need to go struggle for visa. And I think that's shameful. It is shameful. Well, things have changed now. What are the countries that are affected by Senegal? We have France. France was a colonizer of Senegal. So they had free access to Senegal. That's over now. No more. The United States of America with Donald Trump, that's, puts many countries to the side. They can't come to America. Well, you can't go to Senegal either. Yeah. And the UK, just to mention a few countries. Well, unfortunately, there are some African countries too that cannot go to Senegal right now because of the reciprocity. Okay, it's just weird that some African countries will allow Europeans to come with no visa, but block other African countries who have done absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they don't have a history of criminality. I mean, which criminal from Senegal do you know in your country? Well, the countries that are affected are these ones. We have Morocco. We have South Africa that cannot go to Senegal with no visa. Unfortunately, we have Algeria. They have to get a visa before they go to Senegal. We have Ethiopia. So we have South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. They have to require a visa. Well, it is very sad that, some African countries should now have to get a visa to go to Senegal. Well, I guess Senegal opened the door for a long time. And out of respect, you should reciprocate because you have the right to screen the people and understand. Senegalese people are not like Zimbabweans in South Africa. They're not going to go and stay forever. I'm sorry, my Zimbabwean people. I'm just telling the truth. Senegalese people are not Nigerians. They're not going to go start a drug dealing pot or human trafficking situation. I'm sorry, not all Nigerians, but those ones, you know them. Even you know them. So let's continue. Senegalese people, they don't want to come stay in your country. They don't have time for that. They have a beautiful place, lovely culture. So I think it just makes sense that if Africans are going to come together as a strength, then you need to look at each other as brothers. And if you're not going to open the door for everybody, at least start opening the door for certain people. Senegal is one of the stablest countries in terms of democracy in Africa. So I don't understand how you will close your door to them. Well, South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, unfortunately right now are in the same basket as America, France, UK, and everybody else. Congratulations to Senegal. Yeah, my coffee. Well, now we're going to Rwanda. Fellas, this is Rwanda here. Rwanda is a very interesting place. They have a very good culture, a lot of cows, all these cows with very, special horns. Look at these cows here. They love the cows. Cows is synonym to wealth. It's cultural. It's part of their identity. Rwanda also has a very good culture of, drinking milk. Beautiful culture of beautiful ladies. Look at all these people right here. Look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. Very interesting. Anyway, let's get back on track. Now, Rwanda has accepted 250 people, 250 immigrants that Donald Trump has rejected. Okay, I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, they're going to be accepted in Rwanda. Trump has rejected them. They don't want them in America. They think they're criminals. They think they're despicable people, but they're going to be sent to Rwanda. And Rwanda has said yes. Now, Rwanda is going to keep the right to select the people they want to accept or not. And each candidate will be scrutinized depending on their situation. Rwanda will provide job training for them in healthcare. As far as now as we know, no deportees are free to depart. So you're going to Rwanda to stay until they decide otherwise. Yes, Rwanda is apparently getting compensated for this. It's not for free. How much amount, we don't know yet. But we know there was a country in South America that received $6 million for a bunch of criminals that were incarcerated. Now, are these people getting incarcerated in Rwanda? No, they're not going to jail. They're going to be housed. Now, we know Rwanda has a history of, accepting immigrants. They had an agreement with the UK where they accepted many migrants. UK paid them about $300 million. That was the least. It was much more, but that was the least. So Rwanda was to provide apartments and locations and, establishment for these people to stay. But unfortunately for this entire project, later on, it was cancelled by the new government. They say it was not working. But Rwanda still required money from the UK, so you still owe us a few $1 million as promised. Rwanda correct to do this. Well, I know you might be wanting to criticize them, but what I can say to you is Rwanda has to do what Rwanda needs to do for Rwanda to move forward. I mean, Rwanda is not necessarily a very rich country like some other mineral countries, but they need to be smart enough to build the roads. They need to have money for the government, money for hospitals. Rwanda provides free health care for the people. So it's not necessarily about the money you have. It's mostly about how smart you are. Yeah, they provide free health care for people. for the majority of people, for over 90-something people in Rwanda can go to the hospital and get treated appropriately. Good quality. I'm not talking about in some countries free healthcare is not nice quality. Many people choose to go to private hospitals to get good quality. Well, they get good quality because everybody has to pay tax. Anyway, is this a good thing or not? I don't know. What are the dangers? Who are these people? 250 people. Are they criminal? Are they dangerous criminals? Could they slip away from the country and go to the neighboring countries? It's a possibility. Could they start something, a gang or whatever? It's a possibility. Well, I hope the people are doing the necessary precautions to prevent that. What is for sure is that Rwanda is one of the countries in Africa with the least criminality because they don't play. They will deal with you really bad. Have you ever heard Nigerians going to Rwanda doing that? You never heard about that. I know my Nigerian people feel very touched. But anyway, thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate you. Like I said, Senegal has blocked the roads. Now you're going to have to ask for a visa. Okay, an electronic visa to come to Senegal. They will scrutinize you. They will ask you who's your father, who's your grandfather, who's your grandfather, who was your uncle's grandfather. They will make sure that you're not involved in any terrorist organization. Check whether you know how to use a weapon. They will scrutinize you big time. In the meantime, Senegal has opened doors for most African countries. So most African people can go to Senegal visa free. Congratulations. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. It's always a great pleasure. Oh, again, YouTube says a lot of you guys watch videos, but you're not subscribed. And I'm wondering, why are you not subscribed? Please do subscribe so you can push this further. And before you leave, drop a comment and tell us where you watch us from. God bless.